Boys TV show has always looked at pushing the boundaries when it comes to its storytelling, which makes it even more enjoyable to watch. I have to say, I am a huge fan of The Boys, and it's a pleasure to actually binge watch my way through this show. Will the gruesome superhero conquest continue its impressive portrayal? The storyline for Season 4 of The Boys shows us Homelander further continue his plotting and scheming in order to further his power and control, backed by his vision for an army of supes. Victoria Neuman is closer than ever to the Oval Office and under Homelander's muscly thumb as he consolidates his power. Butcher, with only a few months to live, has lost Becca's son and his job as the Boys leader. The rest of the team are fed up with his lies. With the stakes higher than ever, they must find a way to work together and save the world before it's too late. The Boys are hunting down the source of the virus to convert it into their arsenal and use it as a silver bullet in the hopes of finally being able to take out Homelander. Homelander, on the other hand, has re-established his team, the Seven, with 2 strategic hires into his group, with Sage, whose power is super smart, and Firecracker, who has the ability to shoot sparks with her hands, but also has established a very strong influencer status. With Sage and Firecracker now in the fold, Homelander is using them to sabotage the Boys and any potential uprising as he manoeuvres his plan to take full control. Season 4 plays a huge role in the overall story of the show, adding an exciting season to its progression, bringing new soups, suspense, plot twists, and surprise. We're getting 8 episodes that are roughly an hour in length. Now, I do have to admit that there hasn't really ever been a time where I've particularly had a worry about the script and the delivery when it comes to the Boys TV show. But there is a first time for everything. So did the storyline add something new and fresh and transmit that into its execution for all to see? Season 4 for me is cleverly making connections into the real world of today and the problems that we face, whilst also balancing the story that it's trying to portray and tell. In this season, we see Homelander start to take more and more control and establish himself in that control. And with that, the Boys are continuing to stand up to him, but we're seeing a divide start to develop within America, which is similar to the divide that we're seeing today. Sage and Firecracker have cleverly been introduced and hired into the Seven, taking on specific roles to help enforce a strategic plan by Homelander. Sage is the brains of the operation. She has the abilities of being super smart. Firecracker, on the other hand, is an interesting one because her abilities is to be able to shoot sparks out of her hands. But the other cool thing that is nothing to do with Compound V is that she is a major influencer. So I would class her as the sort of executionist, fighting back without actually physically fighting back by using her platform to turn the humans against the Boys and draw more popularity towards Homelander's cause. For me, we are seeing Homelander gain immense control because we're starting to see him make some really big moves as he gains more of a stronger foothold within VOT International. Sage and Firecracker also play hugely influential roles in this season, adding something fresh and new to the storyline for season 4 and the overall story in itself. Now for me, when I'm thinking about the inconsistencies and when I look at VOT International's control, does it at times feel a bit inconsistent when it comes to the media and public perception? Now what I mean by that is that within season 4 and also seasons gone by, we see supes commit murder to innocent civilians, and we also see civilians witness those murders. And this was even kicked off in the very beginning when it came to season 1, how A-Train killed Huey's girlfriend, and that has gradually worsened season by season, with season 4 now being a continuation, actually seeing Ryan, Homelander's son, commit those similar murders. For me, when it comes to the level of control that VOT International has over the media and the public perception, it sometimes feels a little bit exaggerated or inconsistent, particularly when you start to consider the public's awareness of the superheroes' misconduct, which has been consistent season over season, and you could argue that it's the same as what we see in the real world when it comes to the media, playing an influential role in influencing the public. But if murders were being committed in front of the naked human eye of civilians, then I would challenge the public perception being on the side of Homelander. Now, there are a few lingering questions, but with a positive angle because I'm actually excited for Season 5. What is Soldier Boy's ultimate fate? What is the true nature of Homelander's son, Ryan? What are the plans that Sage refer to as Phase 2? For Vought? How will the boys now continue their fight? And will there be a power shift among the Supes? Now, this season stars Anthony Starr as Homelander, Carl Urban as Billy Butcher, Jack Quaid as Huey Campbell, Erin Moriarty as Starlight, Karen Fukuhara as Kimiko, Chase Crawford as The Deep, Laz Alonso as MM, Tomo Capone as Frenchie, Claudia Doubt as Victoria Neuman, Jesse Usher as A-Train, Cameron Crovetti as Ryan, and Colby Minifie as Ashley Barrett. Now, who are the ones to watch in Season 4? As always, we need our choices for the ones to watch. And the ones to watch for me are Homelander, Billy Butcher, Huey, Starlight, and Ryan. Now, who is the one to watch out of the ones to watch? Now, for me, I think this was an easy decision to make. But to be clear, not because of any poor performances, but actually because the performance in particular stood out as such complexity revolving around this character. And with that being said, the chosen one to watch for me is Homelander. For me, this character just simply keeps on impressing. Homelander has so much suspense revolving around him, always making him so unpredictable, which makes the watch even more entertaining as it's just filled with suspense. Now, when it comes to the characters and their development, I've always found it quite striking, not knowing how far they're gonna go, and not knowing how far across the line the show is willing to go. When it comes to Homelander, it's a case of asking ourselves the question, how much further is he gonna go? Over the course of the season, Homelander gradually becomes more and more unhinged, and in episode 4 of this season, the crazy is taken to a whole new level. He visits a compound where he was held as a child, and in that compound were the same scientists that were working there. The aim of those scientists were to run tests on Homelander to see how far they could push the boundaries when it came to his powers. In the beginning, Homelander singles out those scientists that took key roles in his testing when it came to his powers. He toys with them and then eventually kills them. Not long after this, the leader of the scientists then comes to join them and tries to use her authority to control Homelander, and it simply doesn't fly. This ends up resulting in that lead scientist being put in the cell that Homelander was put in as a child and held there. But she's not alone. Homelander destroys all of the humans that are in that compound with their guts smeared all over the place inside that cell, leaving the lead scientist alive and with no way out. Honestly, when it comes to Homelander, I just don't think he has a limit, which really just makes this all that more entertaining. I mean, the unpredictability is just insane. The crazy thing when it comes to Homelander is that I don't think we've actually seen him lose full control. Now, we've seen him lose control, yeah, sure, but we've not seen him reach his full potential when it comes to that crazy element. And it really just feels like he can take things so much further, which really has a majorly significant part to play on this story. Now, Billy Butcher, I mean, what the hell is going to happen to him? Following on from season 3, Billy Butcher is slowly dying, and that's evidently portrayed episode by episode in this season, all because he took Compound V. Not only that, but we're slowly starting to see him lose his mind, because he's seeing people that he had strong relationships with, 2 in particular, appear in front of him that aren't really there and are in fact dead. There are worm type creatures moving around inside Billy, and this is a result from him taking that Compound V. And we start to see that and are brought into the fold with the camera work when we're brought closer to Billy, and that then allows us to make the connection into what unfolds next. And there's a specific scene, a face-off scene between Billy and Ezekiel, where we as the audience are led to believe that Billy is going to die because Ezekiel has him in a headlock. But Billy blacks out, and when he wakes up, he sees Ezekiel and his guts smeared all over the place. And Billy's trying to work out what actually happened as he's lost time. And this is actually a result of a defense mechanism being the worm-like creatures within Billy's body, being the superpower that takes over, and that demon almost taking over as well from a consciousness and plugging into the ability that Billy has to defend him and save him from death. What's interesting is that in episode 8, Ryan commits another murder because he loses control and wants to leave. The authorities want to keep him and use him as a weapon, training him up to take on Homelander. But because he doesn't like this or agree with it, he ends up wanting to leave, and that had resulted in him actually killing someone that was very close to Billy and Ryan growing up. This then sees Billy almost have a moment where he's given up and he's actually let the demon take over and have full control. For me, I think Billy now is going to be on an absolute warpath and ruthless in his approach in getting rid of all soups in their entirety. He now has a defense mechanism that is very, very strong, defending him from any type of threat from the boys, as well as any soups, outside of Homelander, that is, of course. I do have a feeling that Billy will survive this potential path of death, but having said that, who knows at this stage? This show is so unpredictable, you just never know what's going to happen, and that's what makes it even more enjoyable to watch. The intensity levels are crazy, suspense is off the Richter scale, and it is just insane. Hughie and Starlight are the power couple of the show, but how much more can they take when it comes to having their relationship tested? Hughie is having to deal with the loss of his father in this season, and at one point he can't bear the thought of losing his father, so he turns to Compound V, brokering a deal with A-Train to steal the supply from Homelander's secret hiding spot in order to finally forgive A-Train. Once he gets the Compound V, he doesn't decide to use it, but actually his mother, I think, injects the Compound V into Hughie's father so that he can live. As a result of this, we see his father actually obtain powers that are just unbearable to deal with. We're seeing him lose his memory very, very quickly, and unable to deal with the powers that he has is killing people off one by one. And Hughie's actually able to calm him down and reverse things with the inevitable outcome of killing him. And Hughie does this because he realised that he's made a mistake and it's unfair on his father. Hughie finally makes that decision that it's right to let his father go. And that's something that Hughie has really struggled with as a character. But with this loss, what we're seeing is Hughie actually start to develop in a positive light, and those leadership skills start to come to the surface. When it comes to Starlight, on the other hand, she is being put through the ringer in this season. Firecracker is doing everything that she can with her influential status and platform to throw as much negative publicity towards the boys, but specifically singling out Starlight, who is also trying to play influencer. Starlight is tested beyond belief to have restraint and patience, but Sage, having the ability of super smarts, has put a plan in motion and is playing what I like to call puppet master. Firecracker has been advised by Sage on what strings to pull, which then results in Starlight finally reaching breaking point and going on the attack. And that negative publicity is skyrocketed when Starlight then decides to beat up Firecracker in front of cameras for the world to see. On top of this, there's another secret weapon who is a shapeshifter and assumes the identity of Starlight, pushing the next stages of Hughie and Starlight's relationship, getting married and being intimate, with Hughie completely being unaware of that until the shapeshifter makes a critical error. We almost see the couple hit the call it quits button, but they manage to bring it back. Now, the only way that the couple can be broken up, from my point of view, is if the writers decide they want to kill one of those characters off in the upcoming season. And that's a prediction, but you just can't write it off. When it comes to the visuals for the boys, I think it's pretty fun because there's a level of consistency and there is elements of something new that's always brought into the equation. The boys continues to impress with the colours, special effects and costumes. The colours and special effects continues its use of muted, gritty colour palettes that reflect the dark themes of the characters. Special effects, especially in scenes involving superpowers, are impressively realistic and often graphic like contributing to the action. The costume work, particularly with characters like Homelander, and the various injuries sustained by characters are highly detailed, adding to the realism and immersion. Costumes are carefully designed to reflect the personalities and roles of the characters. Homelander is an example that comes to mind, with his patriotic yet ominous outfit, which is an example of underscores towards his twisted version of heroism. I definitely think that the colours, special effects, and costume call-outs have a huge impact on the quality of the show. Now, if the visuals weren't enough, the cinematography is absolutely brilliant and adds so much quality to the overall season. The cinematography in The Boys frequently uses tight framing to create a sense of tension and intimacy, particularly in scenes involving intense dialogue and confrontations. The intense close-ups that we get emphasizes characters' expressions and emotions, often highlighting the internal conflict and menace. Dynamic camera movements, such as handheld shots during action sequences, add to the chaotic and unpredictable nature of the show's violent confrontations. The sense of lighting also plays a massive role, making sure that it keeps to the story narrative. Where there are darker moments involving confrontations or face-to-face combat, the mood shifts with the lighting. And where there are more happier and lighter moments, it's also reflected, making sure that the mood is staying consistently threaded throughout the course of the series. For me, and similar to the visuals, I have to say that the framing and composition, camera movement, lighting, and choice of angles just help the show to elevate, aiding it overall, making it more enjoyable and entertaining to watch. When it comes to the entertainment value, the unpredictability adds such a layer of suspense, keeping you gripped to the show. In every fight scene or plot twist, you just never know which way it's going to go. There's a particular scene where Homelander is questioning employees at Vought, trying to find the leak that has somehow managed to find its way to the boys. And in that scene, there is a particular employee who has done something to share information with the boys. Not vital, but she's still done it, and she's scared. Homelander promises her on his son's life that nothing will happen to her, and as soon as she opens her mouth, lasered and killed off. Now, we've already talked about the massacre of the scientists involving Homelander in episode 4, and that was absolutely insane. But the scariest thing of all is that Homelander hasn't actually fully embraced his full potential when it comes to his embrace of the darkest side of himself. Each character within the show has their own detailed complexities, which makes their actions so unpredictable. Homelander, as I've mentioned, is the standout one for me. When it comes to his entertainment value, 100%, he is the standout, because you just never know what you're quite gonna get with him, and it's all revolving around his unpredictability, which adds a huge significance and impact to the overall story arc, which makes it crazy to see or think which path this story is going to take next. Overall, I found season 4 a really entertaining watch. I think this season has kicked on particularly well from the previous one, taking us deeper down the rabbit hole of the potential darkness that awaits us, providing awesome plot twists and full-on suspense in keeping to a level of consistency with the show's unpredictability. I think the directors have taken us to a whole new level when it comes to the characters and their development, which is evident to see with how things become even more crazier and extreme. It feels like they've continued to make the visual and cinematography a key aspect when it comes to the delivery of the show, and when it comes to the entertainment value, The Boys season 4 successfully maintains viewer engagement through its combination of shocking plot twists, complex characters, thrilling action, biting humour, and emotional depth. The show's ability to blend these elements into a cohesive and entertaining narrative makes it a standout in its genre. I give season 4 of The Boys a 4 out of 5 buckets, meaning it's a binge-watching blockbuster. If you've been watching the show, who's your favourite character? Mine is Billy Butcher, but let me know what you think down in the comments. As always, don't forget to smash a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and follow us on all social media to stay up to date with the latest content. If you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more. I'm Matthew, this is Binge Watcher, thanks for binging with me.